precious blood. Hey, if you're gonna be drinking blood, you may as well be classy with it. Do it in the wine glass, because that's where it's at. As for the candles, well, trying to summon a few spirits over here, trying to get into this Halloween mood, trying to get some ghosts to help me out, get any ghouls, build an army of the dead. Because you can't be too careful with all those weirdos out there, right? Right? Don't say that about me. Well, moving... damn blood. So let's move on to other stuff. Welcome to the Halloween edition of the Wandering Yuki Cheese Cafe. So I was trying to find a good recipe to do, and I kind of wanted to do some kind of grilling originally, but I moved on to another stuff. I do a lot of meats, and I don't do too much stuff with vegetables, and I thought, let's try to get something appropriate for Halloween. And then I got a bit of inspiration earlier this week from my mom, who made some beet soup for us. And then I thought, yeah, beet soup. Those of you who are not in the know, beet soup is a pretty traditional Eastern European dish. Very tasty, very hearty, and you got plenty of vegetables in there. If you're a traditionalist, you would probably put meat in there anyway, so that defeats the purpose of it. And hey, I also figured I needed something else too. Beets are one of the only vegetables that bleed. It's like you're handling some kind of raw flesh out here. Sorry, I'm kind of messing with myself. So I thought, for today for Halloween, let's do some bleeding beet soup for the heck of it, so we could get started on some stuff. So your first step is to work your beets. You need about a good 2 pounds worth. Trouble is that that's going to be the pain in the ass part of it, because you have to peel it and you have to grate it up, and that can take you a long time to do if you don't have a food processor. So, to save on some time, we did something else. Here's my 2 pounds of beets. And there goes some beets flying around. Didn't think it was unsealed. But these are frozen, left for me to use for a later date, so that the hard part is already done. So the next step is just start preparing your other vegetables, prepare it into your pot. That we could do very easily. First up, I'm gonna get a little bit more fuel. Delicious. Maybe to go along with that, I need some IPA goodness as well. And then we're back. I needed a good New England IPA for myself to try out, or one I've had before. And the first thing that came to mind was, quote the Raven, nevermore. This one is from La Pécheresse, and it's a Mr. Poe, or Monsieur Poe, based on Edgar Allan Poe, of course. And I think I've had this one like last year too. In fact, if you want, you could always take a look at the top right corner, be able to see my last episode last year from Halloween. Get an idea how I started all this. Hard to believe. That actually started because of me trying to mix a potato, sriracha, and some Jack Daniels. How did that work? Fuck if I know. I don't understand the science behind that. Beautiful color here too. And I'm doing it in my buddy's glass that he got from New Brunswick, from the Gahan Brewer. Except little did I realize too that Gahan made me think of Dave Gahan, one of the guys from Depeche Mode. Classic band if you like the 80s and the 90s. Pet, precious citrusy hops, just what the doctor ordered. Now that I've had this in here, let's get started on our soup. Next step you're going to need is a cutting board and one chef's knife over here to get some cutting done. So I'm just giving a little disclosure. As much as I want to keep the illusion going, if I'm doing some cutting, I'm going to have to wear glasses. It kind of kills the whole vibe, but I want to see what I'm able to do. I don't want to lose a finger at all. So the first thing you need to do is get one onion on your belt that you got over here, and then you start slicing it up. And then just make sure it's fresh. It's fully fresh. Oh boy. Tears. Okay, I do apologize for that, people. Despite the fact that vampires are creatures of the night, we're still human. We still feel fear. We still feel sadness. We still get affected by really rancid onions. Fucking things. Ugh, don't mind me. So, now that I got that out of the way, we can keep getting these set up. Now that you got your onions all sliced up and diced, you're going to need to get one large saucepan to put this all together. So, one large saucepan over here, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put about 1 tablespoon of olive oil into this. This is not the traditional recipe that I had done, but this is something I'm trying out, because from what I've done with soups before, putting your oil and then your onion in here gives it a really good flavor in the broth that's going to absorb and really tie it all together. So put that on medium heat, let it heat up, and then at the same time, we can get our other vegetables all set. Next thing you're going to need are a few stalks of celery. If you're remembering some of my other soups, you will remember a lot of recipes say you only need 2 stalks worth. Me, I like to put 4 instead, or a bit more, because there's no such thing as too much vegetables when you're doing your soup. Just want to get them cut into like 1/4 inch or 1/2 inch sizes. Then you keep them aside, and then move on to the next vegetable. There. Olive oil is heating up pretty well. It's time to add in the onion. And I'm gonna say that I cheated and turned it off because I needed more time to cut up some vegetables. Sometimes you can't play against time. There we are. And you know that it's hot enough because you're hearing the sizzle with the onions. So, you just have to rotate it around, saute it, until they're going to start being a little bit semi-transparent, and that's your sign that it's time to add your other vegetables. And then your next vegetables, in addition to the celery, is going to be 4 carrots. You know, simple enough. You just have to peel them, chop them up into little 1/4 inch pieces, and then you're set to go. I didn't include that in my video because nobody wants to see me slicing carrots. You already know what that's like. The only way that carrots are really entertaining is if you're some screwy rabbit trying to run away from a hunter. But we always know how that happens. The rabbit always wins. Just keep stirring that. Yeah. Couple minutes. Onions are pretty well softened. Starting to get a little bit translucent. It's time to add your carrots and your celery to this mixture. There. Just that. Oh, and I had 1 bonus carrot over here. There you go. 1 extra life for everybody. So you just stir that into the oil too. That way this is going to get softened up a little bit. And then once that's softened, you go for your next ingredient, which is going to be the beets and your broth. So you might be asking yourself, what do you make the broth out of? Well, that's actually a little something different. There we are. So after about a good 10 minutes, your carrots and your celery should be soft enough now. And you can usually tell with your soup when it takes up less volume in here because it gets softer and it compresses a little bit more. After that, you can add your beets. Your nice bleeding beets. Ooh, that smell makes me think of the beets or horseradish spread we use around Christmas and Easter time. In fact, one of these days I should probably do an episode about that. Oh, oh dear. This is taking up a lot more room than I anticipated. Oh boy. I'll figure something out. Whew. Okay, I might have found a solution. So instead of doing this large saucepan, I'm going to be using my stock pot and just doing some pot transplant action here to get it all in. So I'm going to need a lot more volume than what I've got in this pot. I forgot just how much room it takes when I put it all together. So let's get every single drop in here. There. Okay, that's much, much better. Crisis averted. And this, these beets were a little bit frozen, so it made it a little bit tricky to work with. But with this heat, and if I keep stirring it up and smashing it, then it should be well malleable and then should cook properly. So the beets look like they've thawed out, and it looks like they're bleeding into the rest of the vegetables too. So it's time to add the broth. What you would need for your broth is maybe a 19 ounce or 540 milliliter can of tomato juice. And just add that in. That's really all it's going to take. So you stir that around, let it cook, and then you just have to cover and let it simmer for about a good 45 minutes. You know what? I might need a second can of it because it looks like that I got more vegetables than broth. this is gonna become dangerously like a stew. Assuming that stew is dangerous to begin with. Well, luckily that these things were already in stock. Picked up a second one, just in case. Either to give away, or in case I needed a backup juice. There. Opening it up as we speak now. Now let's add that nice blood red tomato juice. Ah, yeah. There you go. Beets with some gazpacho. Except gazpacho is served ice cold, or so I've been told. So now I'll just mix that up a little bit, and it should be super tasty. Okay, even with 2 cans of tomato juice, you might need a little bit more here to kind of dilute it and make it a broth. So I'm gonna add a little bit more water in here. Let's see, 2 cups worth. Let's get another 2 cups in. There. Because your idea with this is that you don't want this to be a stew, like I said. Whether it's dangerous or not, you figure it out. You just want to fill it up so all your vegetables are covered so that they can cook properly. So now that I have it all completely submerged, I can get this covered and then let it cook. You're gonna need like maybe a good 45 minutes for this to get it done, and then you're all set to go. We've got a little less than 10 minutes to go before the soup is all set to be served. Of course, you can keep it aside if you're not going to eat it right away, but this is going to be tasty stuff. You're also going to notice too that my spoon that I use to stir from time to time is kind of bleeding also because of this thing. Yeah, hardcore bleeding, everyone. Perfect for Halloween. Now, remember years ago, I think I was told that I could cook this for about an hour, maybe an hour and a half. I'm doing this for 45 minutes because the way that I saw it, I put my onion in oil to kind of pre-cook that. Same thing for the celery and the carrots. So if those are softened up a little bit, pre-cooked, then it should take a little less time to cook this all together too. Then that could really make it easier for you. And again, oil and olive oil and onions gives you a nice flavor together. So leave this aside and we'll see where we go from there. I feel like that our Halloween adventures are coming to a close end, but we kind of need an encore. Let me think about this. This didn't happen while it was on camera, but 45 minutes is up. Cut the heat, turn off the timer, and I'm just going to keep this aside. So to give you an idea of what it's going to be looking like, you can get a gander at this stuff. Now this is beet soup. Nice, hearty, plenty of vitamins, very bloody-like. There we are. So we can keep this aside until we're ready to be able to serve this. Of course, I feel like there's more stuff I want to do. Alright. Not a bad run once again. Hearty beet soup was made, and I got my little glass of blood over here to give me some rejuvenation to enjoy this. Now let's give this a taste test, see if this passes my test. What test? Fuck it, it's a test. Good flavor, a bit more onion in here, and especially some oil, so I think that really brought up a different flavor too, but I'm burning myself again. Okay, that's delicious. So this is like your basic beet soup. If you do ever want to make it and you think there's not enough salt or not enough flavor, you could add like a pinch of salt in here. Not too much because your tomatoes juice has a lot of salt, but then you could probably pepper it up. You could even add turmeric, because some people add turmeric in everything because it's healthy for you, but your mileage may vary. It's all good stuff. I'm going to enjoy this. I'm going to just sit back, relax, know that the fruit of my labor is giving me a nice ghoulish kind of meal, and that will be it. So thanks for watching this edition of the Wandering Yuki Cheese Cafe on the Halloween. At least it'll be Halloween by the time this thing drops. So thanks again. If you like what you see, you can hit that subscribe button below and give this video a thumbs up, show that you love my antics. Keep spreading the cheese and leave a comment down below. The comment section exists for a reason, people. Better use it. Now time to enjoy this. Now time to burn my insides. Yeah, this is kind of anticlimactic for a Halloween episode. I feel like I need to go a little bit more out on this. Blood red beet soup is all good. Blood is fine. But I probably need another brew. And I've got just the one. From Brasserie Dépareillée. That's a bit of a tongue twister. And I probably talked about this one before. The one that I have here is another New England IPA that's going to be called On a vendu notre haine au diable, which means they've sold their donkey to the devil. Frankly, I don't know what you mean by selling them to the devil. If you look at the cover, clearly they're making a sacrifice of a donkey to appease some devil or some gods. Sacrificial donkey juice it is. But just drinking it like this, it's not going to be enough. I feel like I need to do something else. We need to do the altar of sacrifice, and I know just the thing. I have a bavette that I need to make, and I kind of want to char it. Let's, you know where I'm going with this, people.